Dogs are very good at hiding things, very good at hiding symptoms.
What can you do as an owner to ensure that they don't lose too much muscle mass?
The biggest takeaway is keep them active. It's very important as dogs age to keep them lean. We don't want them to gain fat. We want to keep that muscle. They have to use like those back legs to squat, to go to the bathroom, to like if they have pain issues, extra weight on those joints, that just creates more pain and makes it much more difficult for them to move as they age. Every 6 months, they should be evaluated by their veterinarian. And if a problem is discovered, we want to find it early. The biggest thing that you can do to keep them aging as healthy as possible is
Welcome to the DAFY podcast, the place where you will get expert-led and science-backed advice on dog health and nutrition. No more confusion and no more conflicting opinions. Just clear guidance to help you make informed decisions for your pup. Because when it comes to our dogs, they deserve the very best care. And we, as dog parents, deserve confidence in the choices we make for them. Let's meet an expert.
Heidi, welcome to the DAFY podcast. It's so great to have you on.
well, thank you. I'm very happy to be on your podcast.
Yeah, I am so excited about today's conversation. I was looking forward to it for like a few weeks now. Because obviously my dog is almost 6 now. So, anything related to kind of, well, I'm not going to give away too much, but senior dogs is always kind of like very, very excited to hear. So my first question to you, Dr. Heidi, is can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yes. So I have been a veterinarian for about 17 years now, and I did general practice for several years. And then the last ish years, I've been just focusing on pain management, acupuncture. And with that population, I ended up attracting a big percentage of older dogs and older cats too. And I just very quickly fell in love with that population of animals. And I've learned so much from them. And I've been fortunate to actually have 4 senior dogs myself.
Yeah.
So I have plenty of personal experience and certainly can relate to many of the things that my clients are going through. And so I'm just become really passionate about senior medicine, things that we can do to help improve their health, keep them healthy and happy for as long as possible, and definitely educating pet parents on tips to help along the way.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. It sounds like you have so much value to share. One quick question before I've actually asked you my first main question is, can you tell us a little bit about Frank?
Well, yes, Frank is my only dog that I have right now. He is almost 17 years old, which is amazing. He's a little Jack Russell Terrier, and
Yeah,
he is just my little ray of sunshine. Is thankfully he's a small little dog, so I can travel with him.
yeah,
So he loves to go on adventures with us, and he's even just happy sitting in the sunshine, getting some fresh air.
yeah.
So he's been very
I
enjoyable.
love it. Literally 17 years old. You're setting the bar really high there, right? Look like to care for senior pets. He's literally
I've
like
been
your perfect marketing advertising. 17. What did you do to get that? It's amazing. Amazing.
Oh, thank you.
So, Heidi, what do you think? What are the biggest kind of like changes then, that you see in senior dogs, right? Physically and mentally. What are the first kind of, the few biggest changes that we can see?
Well, there's a lot of changes, but I think the thing that most pet parents see first is they see the physical changes in their dog. Certainly the hair turning white, and it's usually around the muzzle, can be around the body. That can be a sign that, yes, they're just starting to age, but that is so dog specific. Some dogs can start getting some white hairs when they're 4 or 5 years, four, even younger. And some, I just saw a 14-year-old lab the other day, a patient, and she didn't have any gray hair, any white hair. So there's really a variety. But I think Pigment changes can be another one. The nose can lighten. You can start noticing more lumps and bumps. Another thing is more physical. Sometimes people will notice that they're slowing down. They just seem a little slower on their walks, or they're sleeping a little bit more. That's another big one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, those are kind of the big first things that we often notice.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Actually, Rusty was at 3 years old. I started to see like some kind of white kind of fur
Uh
around his
huh.
nose. So that makes perfect sense. And I keep calling him like an Oman, but technically it's not. The vet keeps telling me, why are you calling him an Oman? I mean, he does, he's a cavalry. He does act like it sometimes, but it's makes sense, doesn't it? Like, yeah, when they start like slowing down. I mean, he's not old, but I can already see from
Mm-mm.
when he was a puppy to now that there are kind of like a few changes already. At what age should we expect those changes? Is it different in every dog, in every breed? Would I say like,
So the biggest change is the biggest factor is really the size of the dog. And that's the biggest thing, because if we take a Great Dane versus a Chihuahua, they're going to age completely differently.
yeah,
Like a Great Dane is considered a senior maybe 5, and a Chihuahua might not be considered a senior until closer to 10 years of
yeah,
age. So it really depends on the size of the dog is
yeah,
the biggest thing. So there are a few organizations that kind of throw out a general age as saying senior pets technically are 7 years and older. But again, that's pretty average. It's
yeah,
going to be very breed
yeah,
specific.
yeah.
So our bigger dogs are going to age faster,
Okay.
and our smaller dogs, like those little 5, 10, 15, 20 pound dogs, they're going to have, I mean, we expect them to have a longer lifespan.
Yeah,
And so they're not going to be considered seniors until they're older.
yeah, that makes perfect sense. And so what kind of like adjustment do dog owners need to make when they start noticing these symptoms?
Well, I think one of the things is what you already pointed out is that you've been observing him. So one of the first things I think, or I want to tell people is pay attention, look at them, watch them a little bit every day so you can notice those subtle little changes. That's certainly a big thing. There are really so many little things. So it can be, he's slowing down on walks. Some people ask about appetite, but that's not always something that's very reliable. There are dogs who will eat a ton of food for, up until the very end. And then it's also common for some older dogs to start having less of an appetite early first thing in the morning. So there can be potentially changes in appetite, but it's little things like watching how they move. Are they slowing down on their walks? Do they seem like they're having a hard time with stairs? Have their sleep schedule changed? Just like observe them around the house and when you have them out.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. And if we are seeing like those changes, like what you mentioned about appetite changes, right? Like for example,
Hmm.
again, I take Rusty as an example just because obviously I have it in my head and I'm putting
Yeah.
myself into like a dog owner's perspective. Let's say like he goes off his food
Hmm.
and like when do you need to start kind of like worrying about that, like you might need to start thinking, okay, it's good to take him to the vet because he's like it's really difficult. In fact, I tell you another story. I ran a doggy daycare and boarding business, and I had a collie who was full of life, and then a month later he got diagnosed with liver cancer and then he passed away.
Mm.
And
Oh.
I'm just like, I was like shocked because I was like, he was with me for like a week. He was like playing,
Mhm.
running around, collie throwing a tennis ball. He was bringing it back to me until like for 2 hours if he wanted to. And then all of this sudden he's like, so it's like in my head, I was like, well, that dog will have had that cancer probably for years or
Mhm.
months before
Yeah.
getting to the point that he had to be put to sleep, which is really sad.
Mhm.
How can we actually like when do we know when to worry and having to like go and check it out versus
Yes, that's a very good question. Dogs are very good at hiding
yeah,
things, very good at hiding symptoms. So, as far as eating goes, if it's been more than 1 day, they should be evaluated by a veterinarian,
okay,
because that definitely can be a sign that something else is going
yeah,
on. And just for safety, they should absolutely be evaluated.
Yeah, okay. So 1 day of not eating. Okay, that makes sense.
One
That
day.
makes sense. Amazing. And so that's great. So in terms of like you doing a lot of work on your social media around, like things that we can do at home to make our, dog feel kind of like more comfortable. What kind of like a simple changes can we make at home to make our senior dog to feel more comfortable and more confident?
Yes. So there are thankfully quite a few simple little things we can do at home. Yoga mats, that can be an excellent addition because for people who have a lot of slippery floors in their house, like hardwood floors, tile, anything like that can be really difficult for dogs as they age and as their legs get a little weaker and they just have trouble moving. So, adding a little traction to the house. They don't always look the best sometimes in our houses, but it works great at helping our dogs feel more comfortable,
Yeah.
helping them get up, get around the house. So, yoga mats, non slip rugs, those are great additions, as are getting dog stairs or dog
Yeah.
ramps to help them get on and off furniture, on and off the bed, raising their food bowls. That can be another one. So if your dog has problems with their neck or back, they don't have to be overextending and hurting themselves trying to eat and drink. And I also think adding another water bowl to another area of the house. So let's say you do have a dog who has some chronic pain that we're trying to manage. Sometimes if they are thirsty, but they're uncomfortable and they don't want to move around too much, they can become dehydrated. So giving them a little extra water dish around the house can be helpful too.
And if we talk about like things like exercise, that's such a big thing,
Mhm.
right? Because it's, a lot of people say keep it to short walks. Like a lot of people are like, oh yeah, just do one big walk a day. Like from an exercise perspective, when your dog is getting like into their senior year, how much is too
Mhm.
much or too little? Like how can an owner know how much exercise that dog needs?
Well, it can be a difficult question to
Yeah,
answer because every dog is going to be different depending on their
yeah,
issues. So, what's too long for one is not necessarily going to be for another one. But my general opinion is one long walk is too much a day. So, you're always better off breaking it down into 2 or 3 smaller walks. And maybe that's around the block, 2 to 3 10-minute
yeah,
walks. It depends on your dog. Pay close attention to the pace. I mean, if you notice your dog is lagging behind you, we certainly want to slow down. And if they seem sore after exercise, like they're just a little stiff, they don't want to go as much or as far, that can be a clear sign it was too much. I'm just not a fan of one big long walk. It's just too much for
yeah,
them.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, and then as far as like other exercises
Yeah,
go, dogs in general, especially larger
yeah,
dogs, tend to lose a lot of muscle mass in their hind legs. And everybody as they age, you lose muscle and you gain fat. People, same
yeah,
thing. So with our big dogs, it tends to be a bigger issue because it's just a bigger mass, bigger size dog to be moving around. But all dogs, just throughout their life, starting young, we want to work on building that muscle, maintaining that muscle. Yes, getting them out for walks helps. We could add in some very gradual hill work.
hmm,
So just into your walks, add some gradual hills. I'm not talking anything crazy steep because we don't want to hurt them. Just nice gradual hill work. Doing some balance work can be beneficial as well. And that can be simply walking them through like a little sand or grass, something with a different texture
mm,
that just sort of throws them off balance a little bit, as long as they don't have any orthopedic issues, mobility issues that's causing pain. But those can be good things to do as
yeah,
well.
I love that.
So start young. It takes a long time to build muscle. And when we see an older, very sore dog who has a lot of muscle loss, it's really, really difficult to try to rebuild muscle
Yeah.
when they're older.
How do you proactively, when your dog is not old yet, what can you do as an owner to ensure that they don't lose too much muscle mass?
The biggest takeaway is keep them active. Definitely keep them active. Don't be letting them lay around the house all day, ideally. Get them up, get them moving. Swimming is another fantastic exercise if your dog likes water. It's easy on the joints, it's great exercise, but definitely the biggest thing is just keep them
Yeah,
moving.
absolutely.
Find something they like to do and you like to do
Yeah.
together.
And make that like a little routine, right? So like swimming once a week, like without overdoing it, but like that you know that you're doing everything you can to maintain a muscle mass to get older,
Yes.
basically.
Yes, absolutely. Find a new park, just explore little areas. Just keep them
Yeah.
engaged. Good for their brain, good for their body.
Yeah, absolutely. And if a dog can't move anymore for whatever reason, but they're still kind of like
Mhm.
happy, and it's sad to ask that because it's like, yeah, but it happens. I
Mhm.
see it like when I walk on the
Yeah.
beach and they're like, what is a fair kind of like amount of, because they still need to get out of their house, right? In my
Huh?
opinion, I don't see it as a cruel thing when they're walking a little buggy and things like that.
Mm-mm.
It's what is your what are your thoughts on that? Like, should we continue taking them out even if they can't walk? Like, are we forcing them to come out?
I think it's great to get them
Yeah,
outside. Even if they can't walk, there are so many things we can do. We can put them in a wagon, we can put them in a cart, we can put them in a buggy, a stroller, just something so they can get some fresh air, some sunshine. And dogs have such powerful noses. It's good for their brains for them just to get out and smell new things. It keeps them happy, energized, excited about life, even if their body is just unable to go for long distances.
yeah. I love that. I love that. Yeah, that's a great suggestion. It breaks your heart, isn't it, when you're like talking about it? I'm like,
I know.
oh, I don't want, you never want that moment to come. This is the thing is I look at all the dogs and it just, your eyes just they make your heart generally more full than when I see a puppy. Like I just look at them and I'm just like,
Yeah.
you just need love, like
Yes.
when they can't walk,
Older
even
dogs
more
are
love.
special.
There is something about them. I love it so much. Yeah, bless them.
Yes, I love them too. They're so
Yeah.
sweet. And they just, yes, they need extra love and compassion and patience.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's such a good advice. Amazing. Look, and then in terms of like, there is these big things about mental stimulation as well. And there are loads of different kind of things that you can do from a mental stimulation perspective, especially when they don't move as much.
Mhm.
Is mental stimulation important in older dogs? And if so, why is that?
Yes, I think that mental stimulation is so important to keep their brain engaged. We don't want their brain function to decline faster than it normally is. I mean, everybody's brain ages. But if we can try to give them exercises, things to do, stimulation can be what we just talked about, getting them outside, even moving them on a blanket, letting them lay on the deck, just getting some new air. But simple little things at home too. I'm a really big fan of the little food puzzles, and there's so many different ones out there. There are the little lick mats that you can put banana, canned food, just something soft on it that will keep them busy and that's good for their brain. There's the little toys where you can put a little bit of their kibble in, they can push them around. It just keeps their brain engaged. It helps them sleep better
Yeah.
because it tires them out a little bit. It's just good for them. And on that note, we just want to be mindful about the number of treats we feed because it's a very important as dogs age to keep them lean. So, for example, what I do with my own dog, Frank, is I take his food allotment, I pre-measure his dinner, and then I remove some of that food and I fill it into his little treat dispenser, and he gets a different one every day so he doesn't get bored.
Yeah.
And then so I put a little food in there. So that way I know he's not going to gain weight.
Yeah.
He's getting the amount of food and just a couple other little
Yeah.
treats in there. So for something fun. So I think those are great things for pet parents to do at home for their dogs.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you were talking about the fact that it's so important that they don't get overweight, even
Mhm.
more than when they're young. Why is that? Where are the implications of them being kind of like overweight?
Well, my Best advice, the biggest piece of advice for pet parents is to keep them lean. And lean is subjective to some. And I know some people associate food with love, but we want to keep them as lean as possible because as they age, like we previously discussed, they're already going to lose muscle mass and gain fat. So we don't want them to gain fat. We want to keep that muscle because they need to be able to maintain like posture to go to the bathroom. They have to use like those back legs to squat to go to the bathroom to for elimination purposes. They need to be like if they have pain issues, they need to be lean because extra weight on those joints that just creates more force and more pain on painful joints. And all that extra weight just makes it much more difficult for them to move as they age.
Yes.
So it's really the biggest thing that you can do to keep them aging as healthy as possible is keep them lean. And when I say lean, you want to be able to easily feel the ribs with just a teeny tiny bit of fat layer over it. You want their abdomen, we call it like a tuck up. So it has a nice little tuck up in it. And go to a vet clinic. You can walk into any vet clinic and have your dog weighed
Mm.
so you know where you're at. And certainly to your next vet appointment, have them assess your dog's body condition. And that's the great way to get kind of a starting base so you know where you're at.
Yeah, absolutely. And if your dog is overweight, so you have a senior dog overweight, is there a
Mhm,
safe way for them to lose weight? Because, clearly they're not moving as much, or they might
mhm.
not move as much. Is there like any advice that you can give dog owners that have unfortunately got a dog who is very food motivated, who is not moving at all anymore, and
Mhm,
is gaining weight?
mhm.
What is your advice around that to just help a dog owner with this issue?
So the only way we're going to get weight off a dog like that is through some type of calorie
Mm.
restriction because we're not going to be able to ask that dog to move much enough to lose the calories. At the same time, I don't want the dog to be underfed and starving. So we need to do it in a safe manner. So the best way would certainly be through like the guidance of your veterinarian so they can help you tailor a gradual weight loss plan. There are specific weight loss diets out there for dogs that'll help. Even just cutting back a little bit of the kibble and adding some water to the food can help them feel satiated. But I generally prefer, under the guidance of a
Yeah.
veterinarian, just to have help them gradually lose weight again without starving them.
Yes.
But we need to cut the calories.
Is the calories.
So watch the treats.
Yes. And it takes
People are
so
very
little, doesn't it?
guilty.
Yeah, and this is the thing, is the way they look at you. I mean, he's not overweight likely,
Yes.
but yeah, I am quite strong. But it's really hard, isn't it? Because they look at you and they're like, please feed me. It's like, look, I'm
Yes.
underfed, mummy. It's like, this is not fair. No, can't have it. But it's so true. And I've learned so much about this over the last kind of like couple of months. I've been talking to a couple of experts about obesity. And it's like, it's crazy. I always waited Rusty's food, right? Rusty's food. I never like just
Mhm.
chuck the food there and just give it to him. But in my daycare and boarding business, I see it all the time. It's like, oh yeah, just grab a little bit of kibble or put it down, however much he eats or she eats. And I'm like, no, it's about working out
Yeah.
exactly how many calories they need based on their weight, their
Yes.
age, their activity level. And I don't think many owners are kind of aware of that, I think. And it's like the 90%, 10% treats versus
Mhm.
food split. There is no one there. Like even myself, I'm a big guilty of that because sometimes, especially running a doggy daycare boarding business, you do games and things like that all the time. You're going to walk. It's really difficult to track, but it's something that is so important because that it's, treats, I think, is a huge problem where, with the reason
Yeah.
why dogs are gaining weight.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And dogs are so smart and so good at getting snacks from us. They look at us with those big, sweet eyes, and it's so
Yeah.
hard to resist. But another tip I'll tell people is dog has no idea how much you're giving them. They don't care. They just want a little
Yeah.
something. So even if you're breaking off just a teeny tiny little piece, that way they're still getting a little something, but they're not getting this
Yeah.
huge
Yeah.
treat. So
That's
that
great.
can help. But your veterinarian can absolutely calculate for your dog exactly how many calories they should be given. And that way you can adjust to include a little bit of treats in
Yeah.
there so they can still have a little fun. Because let's be real, we all want a little treat here and there, and that's okay. Life is about
Yes,
balance.
absolutely. I completely agree with you. Yeah, I completely agree with you. And if you were at home, right, and you were to recommend like, someone wants to just make something like homemade or maybe like some healthier versions of treats as opposed to the one that we buy in the supermarket or in the pet shop,
Mhm.
do you have any kind of suggestion of like maybe a little bit more nutrient dense kind of treats that owners can provide their dogs? Because you can always work out the calories amount, right? That each treat has like a piece of cucumber or a piece of courgette or whatever else it is,
Yes.
right? Yeah, what is your recommendation around that?
I mean, I'm a huge fan of whole
Yeah,
foods, healthy whole foods. Blueberries. Blueberries can be an excellent treat. And you kind of have to find what your dog will eat. Little pieces of cucumber, healthy, great. That can work. Some dogs will eat little pieces of green beans. I've had some that'll eat broccoli. Depends on
yeah,
the dog. But I think vegetables can be great.
yeah,
Little pieces of carrot can be good too. We have to watch that because there can be a little more sugar, but like little pieces of banana, but same thing. It's all about we got to be mindful of the quantity. But I'm a fan of giving things like
yeah,
that.
yeah. And is there any food we should avoid when we look at like table scrap or whilst we're cooking and things like that that might not be as good for them?
There are many things to avoid. Certainly, some of the big ones, we don't want to be giving them fats. So, no grease from our cooking, none of the fatty meats. That stuff is terrible. Obviously, no grapes, no raisins, nothing toxic, which there can be it's a long
Yeah,
list, kind of a long list to get into. But if we just focus on healthy whole foods, like little pieces of chicken that you've cooked,
yeah,
not fried and greasy, but just grilled chicken, a few little pieces. Same with some baked, grilled, broiled fish. We just don't want to have a lot of grease.
yes,
Because if we have things like bacon grease, we can cause pancreatitis and make them very, very
yeah,
sick and get diarrhea. And some dogs can tolerate a tiny bit of dairy, like non-flavored, non-sugared, like Greek yogurt. Some cannot.
yeah.
Some will get diarrhea.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I have so many owners. I give Rusty, like, I make my own kind of Greek yogurt and he can tolerate it. But I see so many dogs that even like the tiniest piece of cheese, the
Uh-huh.
owners are like straight away, they tend to get a reaction from straight away. So it's so dog specific. Yeah, and there are some breeds
Hmm.
that are more prone to it as well. So you have to know your dog, don't you? And really make sure you know what they can and can't eat.
Yes.
Yeah, I completely agree. And then if we talk about supplements, I mean, I know you're not like specialized in nutrition. Are there,
Hmm.
like there are so many times that I hear from dog owners is asking, my dog is a senior now, he's got a little bit of arthritis, he's slowing down a little bit. Are there any supplements that I should be adding to his or her diet to help them in their senior years? What is your view on that? Because there are so many people that just want to do it because they think it's best, you know?
Yes. And the supplement industry,
Mm,
especially in the United States, I don't know where you are, but it is poorly regulated. And so we have to be very careful because, of course, every company has a great marketing strategy claiming that their products do amazing things. And we have to be careful because what's okay for one dog is not okay for the other, depending on issues. If they have kidney issues, liver issues, if they have any chronic issues. So before starting any supplements, please talk to your veterinarian first and make sure there's no
mm,
contraindications. But that being said, overall, my favorite supplement for dogs is omega 3s, like fish oil. That by far is my favorite. And we have research on that one showing that it is great. It's anti-inflammatory, so helps with dogs with joint problems, can be great for skin, help with pain relief, reduce inflammation. That's a great one. But again, you got to check
Yeah.
with your
Reduce
veterinarian.
the
And if
fat.
we start and yes, and if we add it too quickly, too much, they can get diarrhea. So, anytime we're starting a supplement, I would say try one at a time. Don't give them a bunch of things and try it for a few weeks before increasing the dose or adding more.
Yeah.
But yes, fish oil
Yeah.
is my favorite
Yeah.
for sure.
Would you actually also give at any point, like, because I have, based on my knowledge again and what I've researched and things like that, do you prefer giving fish oil, like salmon oil, cod liver oil, or more fresher options? Like, I've heard a lot of, sardines, like in can without,
Mhm.
just in water. Which one do you think is better? Do you think fish oil is better, or like fresher options like sardines, or, a bit of salmon, a bit of mackerel, like, yeah, things like that, basically.
Well, I think they both have their place, and I think they're both beneficial.
Mm,
Usually, I tend to recommend what more clients are more likely to
mm,
use and what the animals will actually eat.
mhm.
So, usually, fish oil capsules or liquid, you can easily add to their food and they'll eat it. Of course, I'm a huge fan of fresher, whole product. So, if it can be something like sardines, I mean, that's a
Yeah,
great more unprocessed source. So,
yeah,
again, they're both excellent options in my opinion.
yeah.
Sometimes it comes down to simply what the pet parent is willing to feed and what the dog will actually eat.
Amazing. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's great. And then around nutrition, is there anything else you want to add from a nutrition perspective for a senior dog that I kind of missed? Or, yeah, I haven't asked you a question about.
Well, that's okay. So, this is an exciting area that I absolutely believe affects senior dogs very much. We are sorely lacking in research on it, but I do believe it's coming. I do believe just as our senior pet population starts to really grow, I mean, it's soaring now, and I think I think the companies are going to start, people are going to start doing more research. But yes, I think as pets age, again, we want to keep that muscle. So they need more protein in general. Again, that has to be balanced with other issues in their body. But I'm a fan of higher protein for our seniors if they can tolerate it, watching the fat content, and certainly calories. We have to be mindful. If they are not as active as they used to be, no, they don't need as many calories as they used to. So looking at a diet that is more higher in protein, fewer calories can be beneficial for a senior pet for sure.
Yeah, amazing. And then one last question is around vet checkup. So,
Mhm.
especially where I live, there are not that many. Like, there is the yearly vet checkup that you do where, they check the
Okay.
heart, they check, like the joints, the teeth condition.
Mhm.
But there isn't anything where they do like a proper full MOT, right? Where they check, the blood and anything that is really important to see that you might want to pick up
Mhm.
with a senior dog. What is your recommendation around that? Like, how often should we get our senior pet seen and really properly checked by a vet?
So I recommend twice a year. Every 6 months, they should be evaluated by their veterinarian, just for them to have an actual physical exam and to have their blood work checked. Just because the body is changing quickly, and if a problem is discovered, we want to find it early
Mm,
so we can take appropriate measures to keep them healthy.
yeah,
That's the goal, to keep them healthy and happy for as long as we can. And if something is slowly developing and we don't find it for a year later because they only come in once a year,
yes,
we have lost a lot of valuable time. So I think every 6 months to be safe is great for keeping an eye on, well, how the liver's changing, the kidney changes, just any general screening, and simply having the veterinarian get their hands on your dog, feeling for new
right.
lumps or bumps, checking the teeth, because dental pain is one of the biggest sources of pain in your pet. And also, checking joints, checking the back, checking the full body to see if the dog is in pain. Because most senior dogs end up with some painful joint. They're just so good at hiding it at times.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I see all the time all the dogs with dental, like loads of dental built,
oh,
a tartar built up, and they look
mhm.
happy. But the reality of it is, yeah, I mean, again, sorry, we didn't talk about this, right? Like, what is your recommendation around, like, dental hygiene for a senior dog? Because you might have a senior dog that might be in pain, that has a little bit of tartar built, but then
Mhm.
the vet sometimes is reluctant to just go for a general GA because they're quite old. There are some risks. So what can an owner do to prevent as much as possible? I know we should do it from an early age, problems in senior dogs.
Well, the easiest way to prevent dental problems is to brush their teeth every single day. So I know it can be just be if you just make it part of the routine, it doesn't have to be long. And you just really have to focus on doing the cheek surface, the outside cheek surface of the teeth. Start them young. That's a great habit to get into because once they get that thick tartar built up on the teeth, the only way you're going to get rid of that is a professional dental cleaning.
Yeah, absolutely. And is it true that like if they have like a kind of like infections going on underneath and we're not seeing them because they obviously all the tartar, these issues can go inside the body as well. Like they can get very ill at the back of, having that for a very long time.
Yes, yes, so that is true. So all that tartar plaque accumulation on the teeth is a ton of bacteria, and it is feeding all that bacteria into the blood, affects all the organs. So it really can cause systemic problems in your dog's body, in addition to just the pain from having such inflamed gum tissue and sore teeth. Yes, it can affect the entire dog's body.
Yeah. I mean, I can be talking to you for the next 10 hours, but we don't have all the time in the world. One last question, because I had a few owners asking me this in prep for this call is they said, my senior dog, as he's aging now, he's on exact same food he's always been, but he's starting to have
Mhm.
really runny poos. And that's now been consistent for months and months and months. And so like the owners said, I just want to change his food straight away. Is it okay for them to have softer poos, or is that something we should be taking to the vet and to it?
Sure. So to be safe, yes, you should always first bring in
Mm,
a sample, the stool sample, feces sample to the veterinarian, just to make sure there are no parasites, there's nothing else going on. Otherwise, it can be common for some senior dogs for the microbiome to change as they age. So just all the bacteria and the gastrointestinal tract, yes, can be altered with age. And so perhaps they need more fiber. Perhaps that diet is just simply no longer working for them. But if they are having chronic problems and their vet checkup is clear, then I think it's perfectly reasonable to start slowly trying another food for them.
yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. That's amazing. Thank you so, so much. Great. So is there anything else you would like to add before we close off?
I just think, I mean, there's so many things that we can talk
I
about,
know.
but I think certainly for senior pet parents, they're wonderful. Every day we have them, I believe, is a special gift. And just remember, compassion, go slow with them. They just move a little bit slower, and that's okay. We cherish every
Yeah.
moment.
And just yeah,
And
cherish it, like you said, isn't it? It's like just
yes,
because every day is 1 week almost in their years, isn't it? So I can't
absolutely,
wait to see it every
absolutely.
time a week happen. He looks at me in the morning. I'm just like, it's gonna be the best day. It will be the
Yes,
best day, and it will be every single day. It's gonna be the best day. It's so yeah, it's so cute.
yes.
And the
Senior dogs are the
yeah,
best.
that's it. They're just honestly, yeah, but that's it. It's like it's either you know that feeling or you don't. And I think as soon as you get a dog, you just and they love you and you love them. It's a bond that is
Mhm.
just so unconditional. It's just so hard to explain to someone who doesn't have a dog. But yeah, um,
Agreed.
Dr. Heidi, if anyone listening to this podcast wants to get in touch with you and wants to have a chat with you about their dog, where can they find you?
So they can find me in two places. I'm on Instagram at Aging Pause Vet, or they can certainly go to my website. It's mvaneedles at gmail.com. So it's Minnesota Veterinary Acupuncture at gmail.com.
Amazing.
those are certainly the two places where they can reach me.
Amazing. Yeah. You just said acupuncture, and I was like, oh, we are going to definitely do a part 2 on that. Yes. Thank you so much. Look, honestly, I think people are absolutely going to love the advice. So thank you so much for sharing all your insights and, your knowledge, and giving all this value to our audience. And I really love talking to you.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure speaking with you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for listening. And we will see you on the next episode.
Thank you for watching. If you found this episode helpful, follow us on Instagram. And if you want first access to DAFY, join our waitlist now. The links are in the show notes.